The shocking allegations about Princess Diana's death. Authorities now reviewing the new and sensational claim that she was actually murdered by the British government.
So angry with what happened to her. No one was talking about it.
My father used to say it to me when I was younger. It was like that for me, so it's going to be like that for you.
No one saw it coming. Queen Camilla was locked out of the palace by Prince William. It happened after King Charles was forced by his sons to expose the biggest murder mystery of the 20th century. So, what really happened? It was early August 2025 when King Charles's health rapidly declined. Doctors announced he is indeed going to die, so Prince William should prepare himself to become the next king. In this drastic situation, Princess Anne dialed Prince Harry's number, begged him to visit his father, and stood with his brother. But Prince Harry refused, claiming that he would not talk to his father unless he would tell him how his mother died. Insiders revealed a tense and emotional moment inside the palace walls. Prince William quietly entered his father's room, the air heavy with grief and unspoken truths. With a trembling voice, he pleaded with King Charles to finally expose the secrets surrounding Princess Diana's tragic death. Lying weak on his deathbed, King Charles could see the pain on his son's face, the same pain that had haunted both William and Harry for decades. He knew he was nearing his death and leave this secret and pain behind. So he asked Prince William to open one of his drawers where an envelope was present. That sealed envelope was his mother's letter that would destroy Prince William's whole life. He unfolded the piece of paper present in the envelope. The words written on the paper cut like a knife. "My husband is planning an accident in my car. Brake failure. Serious head injury. To clear the way for his new life." Diana's 1993 letter resolved the biggest murder mystery of the 20th century. And, unfortunately, the main villain in it is her first love. Reading these lines, Prince William felt deep sorrow. He faintly remembered how his mother used to ask her bodyguards to check the car before climbing into it. She believed her phones were tapped, her conversations monitored, and even her movements shadowed by forces she could not escape. More disturbing was her suspicion that her very car was being tampered with. But as always, her staff, family, and friends laughed off her concerns, labeling her as paranoid. They realized too late that Diana was right. When they started believing her, she was gone. The night of August 30th, 1997, Paris glowed under a restless summer sky. Inside the Ritz Hotel, Diana and Dodi longed for a moment of peace. Cameras had chased them all day, and even within the golden halls of the hotel, she could feel the weight of eyes pressing in on her. At 7 p.m., Henri Paul, the hotel's deputy head of security, disappeared from view. For 3 hours, his movements remained a mystery. When he reappeared shortly before 10 p.m., he walked with a calm, steady step, even tying his shoelaces without a tremor. He didn't look like a man 3 times over the legal alcohol limit, and yet official reports would later claim that he was. That night, Diana was planning her new life, unaware of the evil plan France, the UK, and even the US were making against her. In the imperial suite, Dodi showed Diana a brochure with a simple gold band. "Say yes to me," he said to her. For the first time in years, she felt hopeful. Love, commitment, maybe even a second chance at happiness. But beneath that hope was fear, a fear Diana had carried for months. She had written about it and whispered about it in her letters, but no one cared to save her from the evil clutches of her former family. As the clock struck midnight, the plan for their escape took shape. A decoy car was set up at the front of the Ritz to distract the photographers, while Henri Paul prepared a second car at the rear exit. Diana, Dodi, and bodyguard Trevor Rees-Jones slipped quietly out the back. She gripped Dodi's hand, her heart racing. Maybe we'll be free for one night, she thought. But she didn't know that freedom was an illusion. And this illusion is taking her to her death. The black Mercedes S280 sped into the streets of Paris. Within moments, motorcycles circled the car. Flashes of light cut through the dark. Diana pressed closer to Dodi. "Why won't they leave us alone?" she whispered, her voice breaking. At 12:23 a.m., the car drove into the Pont de l'Alma tunnel, and within seconds the world narrowed to screeching tires, a wall of concrete, and the sound of metal tearing apart. The impact was a deafening, one violent moment that changed history. In the chaos, as sirens screamed and cameras clicked, Diana's hand slipped from Dodi's. Her final thoughts were not of royalty nor scandal, but of her sons, William and Harry, the 2 boys she would never hold again. Her greatest fear had come true. The accident didn't feel like an accident at all. After the Mercedes crashed, paparazzi rushed to the wreck. Some tried to help, others snapped photos. Dodi Fayed in the left rear seat was pronounced dead at 1:32 a.m. Henri Paul, the driver, died on removal. Bodyguard Trevor Rees-Jones survived with severe injuries. Diana was removed at 1 a.m. She was talking, asking doctors to call her sons. The doctor gave an assuring smile to her, told the media that she might only need some stitches, and called for the ambulance. Everyone was relieved that Diana had survived, but her killers, sitting in Buckingham Palace and Clarence House, weren't happy, so they continued with the next part of their murder plan. They tipped off the driver of the ambulance, asking him to make sure that Diana didn't survive the night. The driver saw the body of Diana, realized that she could soon die if the bleeding didn't stop. So he kept driving the ambulance in the night, taking almost an hour to reach the hospital. On the way, he saw 2 hospitals, but decided to pass through them. When Diana's blood filled the floor of the ambulance, he stopped it in front of a hospital. And in this way, the royals became successful in killing the star of the British people. Diana's former butler, Paul Burrell, remained with her until her funeral. He saw how doctors tried to save her, but excessive bleeding and cardiac arrest made it impossible to rescue Diana. At last, it was 4 a.m. when doctors declared her dead. After listening to this news, Paul entered the room, saw Diana's eyelashes and hair blowing up due to a fan. It almost looked like she was alive, begging him to save her from the royals. Diana's body lay still under the harsh hospital lights. The chaos of the Alma tunnel was over, but here in the quiet halls of La Pitié-Salpêtrière, another battle had begun. Paul was crying, expecting the police to step forward, and took Diana's body for further investigation. But something unexpected happened. Without waiting for full authorization, staff began the embalming process. Chemicals were prepared and instruments brought forward. He protested, claiming, "It's too soon, the paperwork isn't complete." But the procedure pressed on. It was all happening within hours of her death. Too quick, and absolutely too wrong. When Mohammed Al-Fayed arrived, grief-stricken and desperate for answers, he was horrified by what he found. To him, this wasn't the care of the body, it was tampering. He believed embalming Diana's body so hastily was no accident at all. But it was a deliberate attempt to erase evidence. Officials insisted it was the summer heat. But for Mohammed Al-Fayed, there was only one explanation. It was a deliberate move to block pregnancy tests. If Diana were carrying Dodi's child, the future of the monarchy would have been shaken to its core. And so, that possibility was quietly sealed away. This haste exposed King Charles and Camilla, so they buried all the evidence and gave a fake story to the world. Sitting in his father's bedroom, Prince William tried to think of all the details related to her mother's accident and found a lot of cracks. CCTV footage that should have captured Diana's final journey was mysteriously missing. The Ritz Hotel cameras, the traffic cameras along the Seine either weren't working or the footage vanished before investigators could see it. In Paris, a city wired with surveillance, the night of Diana's death was suddenly a blind spot. Then came the Fiat Uno mystery. It was the white vehicle that crashed into Diana's car, killing her and her Muslim lover. White paint was found on the wrecked Mercedes, and fragments of a taillight were scattered in the tunnel. Yet despite checking over 4,000 vehicles, French police never produced the car. Witnesses swore they saw it, and investigators admitted it was there. But officially, it might as well have never existed. A ghost vehicle, erased from history. And just like that, one more piece of evidence was erased from history, killing the chances of Diana getting justice. Henri Paul's role was clouded in contradictions. The world was told he was 3 times over the legal alcohol limit, painted as a reckless drunk who killed a princess. But those who were with him that night swore he showed no signs of drunkenness. To make it worse, Lord Stevens himself told Paul's grieving parents their son was not drunk, only for his official report weeks later to brand Paul as dangerously intoxicated. Piece by piece, the truth was buried beneath confusion, contradictions, and silence. Papers vanished, witnesses contradicted themselves, and forensic evidence was destroyed or dismissed. It was truly a systematic cover-up, designed to rewrite history itself. Alan Power openly criticized the British monarchy, stating that Diana's independent personality posed a threat to them, so King Charles and Camilla planned her death. Prince Harry always believed in this, which is why he left the royal family. However, Prince William always struggled to accept this truth, but his mother's letters told him that the royal family was indeed her killer. King Charles then dropped another bombshell, making Prince William more devastated. He told him a story. It was October 1993, a gray London evening, when Princess Diana walked into the office of her lawyer, Victor Mishcon. She sat across from Mishcon and, in a hushed but urgent voice, began to speak. She said her enemies wanted her car tampered with. She revealed that Camilla wanted to kill her so that she could marry King Charles. Mishcon, stunned by the gravity of her words, did what any careful lawyer would do. He wrote it down. He put Diana's testimony into writing, a confidential paper that would later become known as the Mishcon Note. 3 copies were made, one for him, one locked away, and one eventually handed to senior police officials. But here's where the story darkens. When Mishcon first gave the note to authorities in 1997, shortly after Diana's death, it wasn't treated with the urgency one might expect. Instead of being investigated immediately, the note sat quietly in police archives, unseen, untouched, almost buried. It wasn't until Operation Paget, nearly a decade later, that the Mishcon note resurfaced. In it, she also revealed that Charles wanted her dead because he didn't want her to marry another man, because the monarchy didn't want the mother of the future king to have kids from any other man. This could be a threat to the monarchy, for the crown. In front of Prince William, his mother's 2 killers were present, but he could only punish one. Queen Camilla was thrown out of the palace by the son of Princess Diana. She is locked in a place where she will spend the rest of her life as a prisoner. King Charles remained in the palace and wasn't given any official punishment, but his family has abandoned him. Both his sons have left him alone, letting him die in misery.